Pokemon has been a vastly popular franchise since the launch of the first games, Red and Blue, Red and Green if you're nasty. Then the TV series, and most recently a resurgence again with the mobile game Pokemon Go, and since the mid-90s has become the largest entertainment property ever. These pocket monsters are a varied bunch, some are cute and cuddly, and others are venerable monsters. However, some of them resemble real creatures you might find roaming around our world. So, with the launch of the next generation of games on the horizon, Pokemon Sword and Shield, I thought I'd take the time to introduce you to some of the real-world creatures that Pokemon are based on. And needless to say, with these guys, don't try and catch them all. Before we get into the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with The Naturalist Online, and hit the notification bell to make sure you never miss whenever we upload a video. So now, here are the 10 most interesting Pokemon from Generation 1 that are based on real-life animals you may find in the tall grass.
Hello there, and welcome to the world of Pokemon.
Who's that Pokemon?
Caterpie! Caterpie is one of the first Pokemon you ever encounter in Generation 1, and many people have a soft spot for the Pokemon because of that. Caterpie is quite clearly based on a caterpillar, but looks quite fantastical in coloration and design. It turns out that it's actually based on the Asian swallowtail caterpillar. This caterpillar is found across a lot of Eastern Asia. Most of the time it looks like a usual green caterpillar, however, when it is disturbed it forces out a bright orange defensive organ, which is when it resembles Caterpie the most. In fact, the Pokédex entry for Caterpie in many of the games describes it as releasing a foul stench from its antenna to drive away predators, which is exactly what this defensive organ is for in the real world. The forked shape of this organ and large eye patterns on its body may also work as a startled display to deter predators, as it may look like a snake from a distance.
Who's that Pokemon?
Sandshrew! Sandshrew is a cute and badass little Pokemon often found in rocky or desert areas in the Pokemon series. Although characterised in the Pokédex as a mouse Pokemon, this guy is based on the incredibly endangered and highly trafficked group of animals called pangolins. Pangolins aren't closely related to mice, and in fact, though they resemble animals such as armadillos and anteaters, they aren't even closely related to them. It turns out that even though they don't look like it, genetically pangolins are more closely related to your carnivores like cats, bears and hyenas. It's difficult to say which type of pangolin Sandshrew is based on, however due to its preference for arid areas it is likely based on the African ground pangolin, with its light coloration and smoothish appearance. However, when Sandshrew evolves into Sandslash, it certainly resembles the African giant pangolin.
Who's that Pokemon?
Drowzee. Drowzee is one of the weirdest Pokemon from the original 151, a strange, long-nosed, two-toned, bipedal Pokemon with a love of spirit fingers. It certainly resembles the Malayan tapir with its prehensile nose and its two-tone colour that changes below the shoulders. One of the weirdest things about this Pokemon is its propensity for putting other Pokemon to sleep and eating their dreams and getting sick from eating their bad dream. While the Malayan tapir can't eat your dreams, in fact in many Asian languages the Malayan tapir is named after a creature of mythology that has a snout like an elephant and would eat people's nightmares. The more you know.
Who's that Pokemon?
Fearow. Fearow is a large predatory bird introduced in Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow and Green. With its large size, it can be seen how it takes a lot of influence from large predatory birds such as vultures, especially with its ability to fly an entire day without landing due to its large wings. However, in later generations the Pokédex mostly focuses on its choice in prey, fish, which its large beak is perfect for catching. Fearow clearly shows a beautiful resemblance to the anhinga, or American darter, a gorgeous bird that lives in the warm shallow waters throughout southern North America and South America. Their diets consist mostly of fish, snakes and aquatic insects. Unlike other species of darter, the anhinga is known to migrate, soaring high in the sky for long periods of time, much like the Pokemon Fearow.
Who's that Pokemon?
Butterfree! Butterfree! Another favourite Pokemon by many due to its ease of catching in Generation 1 games, and the incredibly emotional episode in the anime where Ash sets his longtime companion free, which certainly didn't leave any fan of the show with a dry eye in the house. I'm not crying, you're crying. This Pokemon held dear to many is in fact based on the black-veined white butterfly, a widespread butterfly found across Europe and much of Asia. Unfortunately, it has been extinct in Great Britain since 1952, despite the best efforts of Winston Churchill, who tried to reintroduce them as they were a favourite of his. That's right, you heard it here first folks, Winston Churchill was a fan of a Pokemon.
Who's that Pokemon?
Poliwag! Poliwag is a very cute little Pokemon that certainly resembles a tadpole. However, it looks really peculiar with the black and white spiral on its chest, almost hypnotic. I don't think anyone really realised what the point of this spiral was. It turns out that many species of tadpole have translucent underbellies and their intestines can be seen, making quite an interesting spiral pattern. In fact, the Pokédex in the Pokemon games after Pokemon Crystal seem to certainly agree with this in their description of this pocket monster.
Who's that Pokemon?
Tentacruel. Tentacruel is a large poison-type Pokemon that was the bane of many people while they were travelling across the oceans in the first generation of games, especially around Cinnabar Island where your only mode of transport was surfing until you learnt how to fly. The deadly pocket monster clearly resembles a jellyfish, but it's so large in size and brightly coloured it is clear that a jellyfish was only a little bit of the design. But it turns out Tentacruel is based on the real-world creature, the Portuguese man-o'-war. This bright blue and pink creature may look like a colourful jellyfish, but in fact it is a colonial organism, which means instead of being one multi-celled organism like a jellyfish, it is in fact a group of specialised small organisms known as polyps that attach to each other but become so integrated they cannot survive alone. Like Tentacruel's poison type, the man-o'-war is highly venomous, with venom powerful enough to kill fish and even humans. This creature is typically 10 metres long, but has been known to grow up to 30 metres. You definitely don't want to stumble across this creature while you're surfing.
Who's that Pokemon?
Magikarp. Magikarp got a raw deal in Generation 1 as being the most useless Pokemon in the game and the butt of many jokes in the series. You can imagine how surprised everyone was when this useless water-type Pokemon that could only use Splash evolved into the Leviathan that is Gyarados at level 20. However, its real-world counterpart is far more useful, the Asian carp, more specifically the Amur carp, with carp being a popular food source in Asia for thousands of years. Unfortunately, it has become an invasive species in the US as Asian carp were introduced to help fish farmers clean their ponds. Unfortunately, they were too successful and bred too well. Now they are living in a lot of river systems in the US and are easily noticed by their propensity to jump out of the water when the water is disturbed by a boat, much like the Pokemon's Splash attack.
Who's that Pokemon?
Pinsir. Pinsir is an aggressive bug-type Pokemon that was only found in the Safari Zone of Pokemon Blue in the original games. If you played Pokemon Red, you'd have to find a friend willing to part with one and trade with you. This angry bug definitely takes its inspiration from stag beetles, most likely from the giant stag beetle, a species commonly used in insect fighting. Insect fighting is a spectator sport that occurs in many parts of Asia, such as China, Japan, Vietnam and Thailand. Some forms of the sport have a long history, such as cricket fighting, which was a pastime of Chinese emperors dating back to the 7th century.
Who's that Pokemon?
Rhyhorn. Rhyhorn is another Pokemon that players discovered in Generation 1's Safari Zone and became a favourite of many as the Pokemon it evolves into, Rhydon, was quite a powerful companion in the original series of games. Rhyhorn clearly shows some resemblance to a rhino, but what some people might not know is that it shows a striking similarity to the Indian or greater one-horned rhino. When most people think of rhinos, they think of the black or white rhinos found in Africa, large with two distinct horns. However, the Indian rhino is quite different. This threatened species of rhino, much like Rhyhorn, only sports a single horn, and also, much like its Pokemon counterpart, has a very thick hide that almost resembles armour plating, unlike the more well-known African rhino species. One unlikely similarity this Pokemon shares with its real-world counterpart is those distinct fangs on Rhyhorn. Unlike African rhinos, the greater one-horned rhinos have sharp, lower incisors that the males use for fighting, whereas their African counterparts duel with their horns.
Hey! So you're finally here! Fantastic!
Well, there you go. Did you know so many Pokemon were based on real-life creatures? In fact, there will be many more to come in future videos. Leave a comment with any on this list you're surprised to know about, or maybe any you were sad I missed. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to The Naturalist Online for more videos about surprises in nature and wildlife. Thanks for watching.